Welcome in everybody to Let's Talk Live here on the LTL Media Channel. I am Brian. It is Sunday night, and we're here on this rainy, snowy, crappy New England evening, but brighter days ahead. I have a feeling, I don't know, in my bones, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling like an early spring. I hope so, because I don't like the winters here in New England. I haven't liked them for a long time, but unfortunately, it's part of living here in Massachusetts. So welcome in everybody. I hope everybody had an amazing Sunday, and I'm so glad to be here to talk about the case that we're going to get into tonight of a gentleman named Robert Brooks. And Robert Brooks essentially was beaten to death back on December 9th of 2024 while he was incarcerated at the Marcy Correctional Institution in upstate New York. It's just right near Syracuse. And this was a case that really wasn't talked a lot about. We saw some things in the mainstream media. It came across my screen a few days ago in kind of a blurb, and I wanted to look into it. And it is probably one of, if not the most horrific things that I've ever seen done to a human being. I mean, we're talking about a serious modern day lynching, and it involves multiple correctional officers. It involves some nurses at the correctional institution facility, Marcy Correctional Institution. And essentially what happened was these officers were wearing body cam, but they didn't activate them. But I from some reports that I read, they didn't understand that these body cameras would still turn on, even though they didn't activate them. And we're going to watch the 16 minutes of the video of the assault. And ultimately, after this assault, about 20 minutes later, Robert Brooks had died because of this assault. They beat him multiple times. They stuck things into his body, into his mouth. And essentially, after all this happened, no one was arrested. There was no perp walk. There was no, from what we heard, the AG was trying to fire them. Fire them. Not arrested, not perp walk. And I said this in my post the other day. If this was John Q. Public that handcuffed a police officer and beat him on camera, they would be ultimately arrested and paraded out of that court, going into the courtroom, out in front of the public. You know, where was the outrage in this? But finally, after 2 months, there is justice in Robert Brooks's case. The autopsy has come back. They have deemed his death in the result of a beating from these correctional officers. Indictments have been handed down. And I really hope the jury gets this one right and puts these animals right where they need to be. They're not going to be going far, because they're already in that correctional facility. But I hope that these animals go to behind bars for the rest of their life. Behind bars for the rest of life. So we're going to get into watching and reviewing the video. There's a channel out there. His name is J.D. Nichols. He's an independent reporter, and he did a phenomenal job with this said video that was released by the AG. It's about 16 minutes long, but he kind of QBs it for us because in the original video, there's no audio. There's no audio. And reports had said that Robert Brooks was screaming inside the facility. You could hear the punching. You could hear him being beat to death. And thank God, like, there wasn't any audio. I don't want to hear that. And we're going to see a very violent act today. But J.D. Nichols does this phenomenal job of breaking this down and QBing it. And then also we're going to watch is there's a gentleman named Sean, and he has a channel called the Long Island Audit. He actually goes to Marcy and confronts some of the CEOs at that facility and actually gets the superintendent to come out. And he speaks with him as well. And actually goes out to one of the kind of the ringleader. His name is Anthony Farina. And he was a correctional officer. And you're going to see him in this video. Reminds me a lot of Brian Albert, if you follow the Karen Reed case. And you're going to see him in this video assault Robert Brooks multiple times, kicking him in the genitals. And Sean from Long Island Audit actually goes out to meet with Anthony Farina in front of his house on a public street and asks him some journalistic questions. And we'll get to see that as well. So again, just kind of turning away tonight from Karen Reed a little bit. I know last night, one Aiden Turtleboy Carney had an amazing interview with Ronnie, the juror that was a juror on the jury in Karen Reed's first trial. It was about 2.5 hours long. And tomorrow night, I'm going to have Nan Gallagher on my channel to review that and go over that jury interview. And we're going to get into a lot of that and our different views and perspectives on all of it and what the takeaway can be for the defense team. So again, I wanted to turn my attention tonight to this evening. And you know, it was funny. I got a tweet the other day that someone said to me that, oh, your views and your audiences have been down on your channel. And I said back to them that I don't do this for clicks or views. I do this to expose the truth. I do this to bring justice to these victims in these cases. That's all that matters to me. I don't care if there's 5,000 people in this room. I don't care if there's one person in this room. If I can connect with at least one person and get the truth to that person, that's all that matters to me. That's all that matters to me. So again, I appreciate you all being here this evening. Let's start pulling up some articles here and start going through kind of the timeline of all of this, and then we will get through this video this evening. I honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. This may get shut down. The stream may get suspended. I'm not sure. I'm really, really not sure. So we'll see what happens. But let's pull up some articles here. So let's start with Robert Brooks and his, you know, what kind of started his journey in being incarcerated. And, you know, I have to say, by no means is Robert Brooks, by all these accounts and what he's been charged with, a good guy. But he does not deserve what happened to him at Marcy Correctional Facility at the hands of these correctional officers. So this is back on February 10th, 2017. Man sentenced to 12 years in prison for stabbing girlfriend. And I'll read through a little bit of this. Rochester, New York. A Rochester man was sentenced to 12 years in prison Friday after he admitted stabbing his long-term girlfriend. Robert Lee Brooks, 35, pled guilty in December to felony assault, first degree. On April 18, 2016, Brooks stabbed his girlfriend several times in the Woodhill Drive when he was confronted by two of his neighbors in Greece and ran away from the scene. The neighbors called the police, who tended to the victim and then located and arrested Brooks. Court papers indicate Brooks used a folding knife in the attack, allegedly stabbing the victim in the neck, chest, torso, and her back, as well as her hands and forearms. So that's essentially what led to Robert Brooks being incarcerated. Now let's get on to the road of what happened to him. Okay, this is from December 27th, 2024 from ABC News. Shocking footage shows handcuffed inmate who died after prison guards beat him. Excerpts of a body-worn camera footage from 4 correctional officers were released Friday by the New York Attorney General's office showing the in-custody beating. And that's what I want people to understand. This man was handcuffed. He was defenseless. He could not protect himself. A 48-year-old inmate, Robert Brooks, who the AG office says was brutalized by prison guards while handcuffed at Marcy Correctional Facility in Oneida, New York, earlier this month. In the footage reviewed by ABC News, which the AG's office says was from December 9th incident, multiple officers can be seen holding Brooks upright on an examining table with his arms restrained, punching and kicking him in the face, torso, and the genitals. The beating was described in a deposition by the investigator of the New York Department Correctional Facility and Special Investigation. Brooks had been transferred to the Marcy Correctional Facility on the day of the attack from nearby Mohawk Correctional Facility. He was pronounced dead at a local hospital the following day, according to the New York Attorney General, Latina James, whose office is investigating the incident. As the Attorney General, yeah, my word that we may use every possible tool to investigate the death thoroughly and swiftly. Yeah, not swiftly. It took 2 months. And this is the thing that frustrates me about Enrique Delgado Garcia. You know, we're well past 150 days in the death of this state trooper. Where is the action? You know, when we just found out that article the other day of David Meyer's special investigation team, some former FBI agents on that team. But come on, let's speed it up here. You have about an 8-person team now. Let's get some information out there to the public. So it goes on to say that an attorney for the Brooks family told members of the public can now view for themselves the horrific, extreme nature of the deadly attack of Robert L. Brooks. As viewers, we could see Mr. Brooks was fatally violently beaten by a group of officers whose job was to keep them safe. He deserved to live, and everyone else living in Marcy Correctional Facility deserves to know that they do not have to live in fear of violence at the hands of a prison staff. And this is not the only time that one of these guards have been implicated in something like that. And that is one Anthony Farina. He was sued, I believe, 2 years before this with another inmate in a civil lawsuit. The disposition by the filed Ryan Paparella, an investigator of the Department of Corrections Community Service, was brought to review this incident in the deposition. He details the assessment of the body cam footage showing Brooks' attack. So basically, we're going to get an outline of what happened in that video. So let's move along here. Let's go to January 16th. A little bit of an update. From CBS News, guards systematically and casually beat Robert Brooks to death in New York prison lawsuit claims, and the family obviously has filed a lawsuit. The family of the inmate who died after being beaten by the prison guards in upstate New York facility has filed a civil rights lawsuit. Body camera video from December 9, 2024 shows officer punching Robert Lee Brooks, Sr., 43, while he was handcuffed on a medical examination at a table in Marcy Correctional Facility, located east of Syracuse. Brooks died the next day. His family is now suing more than a dozen guards, the former head of the facility, the state correctional official. They say the prison used excessive force in the system that tolerates violence. I keep living the same nightmare over and over, Robert Brooks Jr. told CBS Morning in an interview just moments after they filed the lawsuit. He described what he saw in the video of his father's beating, a torturous anger and overall hate. I see a helpless man. I see myself in him because I am his son, he continued. So the lawsuit, family has filed lawsuits. Good for them. Need to do it. Another update. This one's from February 5th. Autopsy shows New York inmate who was beaten while handcuffed died by homicide, lawyer says. A handcuffed inmate who's fatally beating, so now it's been ruled a homicide, and then we're going to see the charges that rolled out. Finally, after 2 months. A fatal beating by correctional officers last year sparked outrage 2024 in December, died by homicide, according to the finding of the autopsies report a lawyer for the man's family shared on Wednesday. The report attributed Robert Brooks's death on December 10th to compression of the neck and multiple blunt force injuries, attorney Elizabeth Marzar told NBC News. That's the cause of death. One more article, and then we're going to get to the video. All right, February 14th, and this is our most recent update. Sealed indictment handed up against officers in beating death of Robert Brooks. Look at this. And you're going to see him. This guy looks just like Brian Albert. A grand jury in Oneida County was handed up a sealed indictment in the homicide of Robert L. Brooks, who died after he was beaten by multiple corrections officers at Marcy Correctional Facility in December. So here's your indictments. Okay. Let's get to the video. And again, I don't know what's going to happen. This could get shut down. But we're going to try to get through this. It's from an independent reporter that's going to do some quarterbacking here, which is great. Did a phenomenal job of breaking this all down. His name is J.D. Nicholas. And if you'd like, I'm going to drop the link if you want to subscribe to his channel. He's got a couple videos up, about 3 of them on his channel covering Brooks. Again, this is graphic content. I understand it might be a little too much for everybody to watch this, but I'm going to keep the warning up there. And we're simply going through this to review what happened in this case, to make our determination and our opinions. So again, I'm very happy for you all to be here. This is a very, very important video. And here we go. We're going to play through this.
Corrections officers in New York killed inmate Robert Brooks on December 9th, 2024. 4 of them unknowingly recorded the killing with their body-worn cameras. They didn't activate the cameras, but they were powered on, which enabled video to be recovered. The sound was not recoverable, so a close visual analysis is required to understand what's happening in the video that you see. That's Brooks right there, sitting in green on the edge of an examination table in the prison's infirmary. Note the time in the upper right-hand corner of the video, which I've verified is accurate. It's 21:23 in military time. That's 9:23 p.m. In 20 minutes, Brooks will be dead.
I'm J.B. Nicholas, criminal justice reporter for the Freelance News. I've covered crime, courts, and prisons for the last 20 years. I'm going to back the tape up, and I'm going to walk you through the killing of Robert Brooks from the beginning.
I've used all 4 of the body camera videos to make this video.
So the 4 videos that were released by the AG's office. And you can go to that website and just type in Robert Brooks. I found the link to it, and they are all there. So what JD did was just take all these, compile them together, and he's going to walk us through what happened. Again, the videos are all out there. There's just no audio and no narration. So I thought this was the next best thing here. He does a really phenomenal job.
For clarity, I've marked in the upper left-hand corner the name of the guard whose camera recorded the video that's playing. This is video from Sergeant Glenn Trombley's body-worn video camera as he gets into a van with CO Anthony Farina.
Now keep that name in your head, Anthony Farina. He's going to be kind of the ringleader in all of this.
According to sworn testimony in a federal civil rights lawsuit exclusively revealed by the Freelance, Sergeant Trombley is the leader of the prison's beat-up squad, and Farina is a member of the squad. Every prison has a beat-up squad. Beat-up squads are a kind of quick reaction force that respond to fights and other emergencies. Trombley and Farina are about to arrive at one of the prison's exits and entrances called a sally port. That's where a squad of COs have Brooks handcuffed on the ground. Notice that when Trombley gets out of the van, he opens its side doors. That's because they usually place prisoners in the van to move them around inside the facility. This time, they will not use the van. We don't know how or why they all got here, but Brooks is handcuffed on the ground. Another sergeant, Michael Mashaw, is already there. So are COs Robert Kessler, Nicholas Anzalone, Nicholas Kiefer, and David Kingsley. Anzalone and Kessler are going to stand Brooks up with his hands behind his back, bend him forward, and walk him away. That's Farina on the right.
Ryan Albert.
Behind them, right to left, are Sergeant Mashaw, Farina, Kingsley, and in the back, Kiefer. It's 9:21 and 36 seconds. 10 seconds later, CO Matthew Gallagher's camera captures Kessler, Anzalone, and Kingsley.
Now you can already see the way that they are handling Brooks. He's cuffed behind his back. His arms are being pushed up almost over his head. His head is tucked down. He's got 4 guys on him, carrying him right now.
Walking Brooks past the open doors of the van. That's Kessler to the right, Anzalone on the left.
Look at this.
Brooks in the middle, walking, bent over, and then Kingsley following them. This is important because the next time we see Brooks, he's going to be being carried by these 3 men into the infirmary. Less than a minute later, according to CO Michael Along's camera, Kessler, Anzalone, and Kingsley carry Brooks into the infirmary.
Now, to me, I mean, I just analyze this and I go, this guy doesn't look like he's any threat. He doesn't look like he's in any position to be a threat. He's not struggling. He's not pushing the COs. He's clearly handcuffed. I think there's leg restraints as well. He's in no position. See if there's any leg restraints.
And Kingsley carried Brooks into the infirmary.
Let me see.
He's unconscious, it appears, and no longer walking like he was when he was last seen.
Yeah, he's got leg restraints on too.
CO David Walters, turning the corner right there, follows them up the hallway into the infirmary and tells nurses Kyle Dashnow and Abedi Medovic don't go in the room to treat Brooks. He turns them away.
So there's your nurses that are on staff. This guy right here, these 2 people right here. You see how this nurse turned away? They told him not to treat him. And I'm just going to let everybody know right now, if you have not seen this video or clips of this video, it's going to get very violent right now. So I just want to put that warning out there. All right, here we go.
Here he is raising his right hand, holding it out, and gesturing toward Dashnow, freezing Dashnow in his tracks. Here it is again.
So I remember reading about the autopsy, and it did say that Brooks had synthetic marijuana in his system, but it would not impede or result on any of the injuries, and it would not cause his death. Obviously, it was from the beating that he took, the compressions to his neck, and you can already see the CO is jumping on him.
Inside the room, Kingsley and Anzalone have Brooks pinned face down on the table, and it looks like Kingsley is trying to use the edge of the table
to break his leg,
to break Brooks' lower leg. 9:23:45 seconds, Sergeant Trombley arrives. There's Farina, Sergeant Mashaw. Brooks is conscious. There's Anzalone, Kessler, and Kingsley in the room. In walks CO Christopher Walrath, who has a lot to say to Brooks. We don't know what Walrath's role in this is, but it appears that whatever triggered this, Walrath was there when it started.
I mean, this is, I've read some some quotes about this. I mean, this is worse than Rodney King. This is awful. It's going to get bad. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands this. But it's very important. It's very important that we point this shit out. We need transparency and oversight in all of these facilities, our police departments, our correctional facilities, our fire departments, whatever it may be. And that's why I say, go out and vote local. If the job is not getting done by the person that is in there, you need to vote them out. And the Attorney General should be ashamed and should be criticized in this as well. Another facility that needs a complete overhaul. And this is not only going on in just this one prison. It happens everywhere. And again, I'm not saying that these people that are put behind bars for whatever the specific reasons they are, the charges, murder, burglary, whatever it is, you know, they did the crime, they need to do the time. But when they're in a facility, they do not deserve to be treated like this in any way by any officer. The officer needs to follow the rules and regs just as much as the inmates. And this shit goes on. People get beat on a daily basis and murdered on a daily basis in correctional facilities. And these guys need to go down hard. Hard. All right, let's go. It's going to get bad.
Now, there goes Kiefer, Walrath behind him, and on his way out, Farina taps him. See that there?
Brian
Farina taps Walworth to tell him something.
Looks just like him, doesn't it?
Something like, hey, I got you.
You're right, KT.
Walrath's out. Farina goes in, starts putting his gloves on, and Brooks has less than 18 minutes to live. It's 9:25. Farina is about to gag Brooks with a white rag. Anzalone has one of Brooks's boots in his hand, and it looks like he's hitting Brooks with it. Then Anzalone starts pounding away on Brooks. C.O. Gallagher is there watching. Here it is from the other side of the room with C.O. Matthew Gallagher's camera. There's Farina stuffing the rag in Brooks's mouth and then punching him repeatedly in the face. While Farina is punching Brooks in the face, Kingsley is pinning his neck to the table. Now he's lifting him up and choking him. Lifting him up by the neck, choking him and dropping him repeatedly back to the table. He does this 4 times. Back to the other side of the room and Sergeant Trombley's camera. There's Gallagher in the room. There goes Farina stomping on Brooks' genitals while they pin him to the table and punch him repeatedly. Gallagher has his hand on Brooks' throat. Here comes Walrath back. Walrath is grabbing Brooks' leg with Farina and twisting. Kiefer's back in the room too, on the far side of the room, standing there. There's Kessler, Michael Fisher, CO Michael Fisher in the doorway. This is from Michael Fisher's camera. When Farina was gagging Brooks, Brooks must have bit him because you see him, he took his glove off and he checked his finger and he grimaced. Now here's Kessler walking into the room. Kiefer is already in there, but Kiefer just got directed to leave the room by Sergeant Trombley. Let's watch that again. There's Trombley pointing at Kiefer across the room and then sweeping his hand to the door in the direction of the door and Kiefer leaving. This
Chrissy, it's
shows that
unclear.
Trombley is indeed the head of the
It's unclear in the
squad.
investigation
Next,
right now.
Walrath taps Sergeant Masho to back up so he can punch Brooks harder on the table while he's handcuffed. Let's watch that again.
You know, the only thing that I can think of in this area of the institution, there might not be a camera in that room. Let's bring him somewhere and take care of him. And these idiots didn't realize that their body cameras are going to turn on. And what I'm guessing is maybe because that room doesn't have a camera, and I don't know. I would like to find that out if there is a camera. I'm guessing probably not, because it would have been released along with the body cam footage. So probably they have those body cameras to turn on if they walk in there and there is an inmate. So there is a record of what's going on in there. But these idiots didn't activate the cameras, but didn't know they were going to turn on. So that's my guess. There's not a camera in that room. Let's take them to an area of the facility, of the correctional facility. There's no cameras. Let's fucking put them down like a dead dog. Essentially what they did. Yeah. And, you know, to Steph's point, you're in the infirmary. Maybe because of HIPAA and all that stuff, it can't be recorded in there. But they have their body cam footage. So if there is an incident, they turn them on and they activate them and they can capture what's going on. That's my guess. KT says minimal cameras at that facility. Probably an old facility. Yep. Probably an old facility. You're going to see it when we play Sean from the Long Island Audit. You'll see that facility is very old looking. Yeah. That's what they did. Take them to an area and beat the shit out of them and kill them. All right, let's continue here. We got about another halfway through here, another 7 minutes. And again, it's very graphic, violent video. But this needs to be shown and everybody needs to know about it. And these CEOs need to go down hard.
Now, outside in the hallway, Kessler and Shay Schaff and Michael Fisher talk. Kessler actually does most of the talking. He seems to be explaining something related to Brooks. It looks like he's describing a physical confrontation because you'll see in a second he backs up and then gestures to the wall. Here comes Walrath thanking Kessler for something, slapping him on the back, Kessler slapping him back, them laughing and joking, and now we're back in the room. Anzalone.
When have we seen body language like that before? A la Karen Reed, a la the Waterfall, Brian Higgins, Brian Albert. When have we seen that before, folks? Right? Here we go.
Kingsley, Gallagher, and Farina are standing over Brooks, who's unconscious on the table. Kingsley has his hand on Brooks's throat. It's 9:27.
They're choking this guy out.
They lift Brooks off the table. Anzalone
Oh my God.
on one side, Kingsley on the other.
His face is bloody. His nose
Sergeant
is
Mashaw
bloody.
in the background looking on.
He's obviously disorientated.
There's blood on his face. His nose looks broken. He appears to be in and out of consciousness. Both Anzalone and Kingsley touch his neck and his head. Anzalone punches him
Oh God.
in the side of the ribs. Kingsley keeps adjusting his grip to get a better grip on Brooks's neck. Trombley gestures, gives him an order to do something. Anzalone is going to put on gloves before he does it. They're going to take him and pin him against the wall in the far rear corner of the room. Against that window, there's a white window shade that's drawn down over it. Behind that shade is a window similar to the one on the left. It's a thick plexiglass window.
Brooks is talking. I'm going to go back. We can see his lips moving here. He's got a black eye. His nose is broken. He's got blood all in his face. And it appears that Brooks is talking now.
Window shade that's drawn down over it. Behind that shade is a window similar to the one on the left. It's a thick plexiglass window with a metal mesh cover, and there's a ledge there. There's a windowsill. It's concrete.
Oh my God.
When they pick him up off the table, Brooks can't walk. So they carry him. He's a small guy compared to them. And they carry him over to the corner and they pin him
Marcy
up against the window ledge.
He
While they're
can't
pinning
stand.
Brooks to the window ledge, Sergeant Mashaw is not letting Nurse
Marcy
Medvedik
facility,
into the room.
New York, near
That's
Syracuse.
Nurse McMedomick on the right, Sergeant Mashaw on the left. It looks like McMedomick wants to get into the room. He's got his gloves on.
They're all laughing.
Mashaw's not having it. Sends McMedovic on its way. These are Brooks' last moments. There's Kessler, Anzalone, and Kingsley with Brooks pinned up against the wall. Now it's 9:31. The nurses are still outside the room. Kingsley, Anzalone, and Kessler are still in the corner with
There's
Brooks.
9, I believe, that got indicted.
Now Kessler seems to be applying pressure. Anzalone just lifted Brooks and threw him into the air twice. Brooks seems completely limp like a rag doll. It's 9:32. They finally let the nurses into the room. Brooks is on the table unconscious.
So this is interesting. They're now going to start doing a sternum rub. I mean, I think they know that he's dead.
Gallagher is stripping his pants off. Anzalone, Kingsley are still there. Now it's 9:35.
There are. I know some of them are charged. I believe there's 9 that got charged overall.
Nurse Kyle Dashnaw is trying to find a pulse on Brooks. So is Medvedik on the other side. Sergeants Mashnall and Trombley are joking and laughing in the background.
So the scary thing about this is, and you got to think about this, folks, if those cameras didn't self-turn on and capture this, then the story would have been narrated. He started a fight with one of the COs. He kept resisting. We tried to calm him down. He kept resisting. They would have brought him into this room and he would have died. And these COs, would have gotten away with this. And then you're going to start thinking, how many other people have these people killed? How many other people have these COs beaten beyond recognition? Scary thought.
9:36. The nurse realizes it's hopeless.
He's dead. Now he's like, what do I do?
9:41. McMedomick is still trying to find a pulse. Kingsley still has his hands on Brooks.
And this is where it goes. I'm going to pull this up. Lori says, this wasn't the first time. Of course not. And that's why I go back and I'm going to use the example, Trooper Proctor. We've talked a lot about this. Tully, Bukaki, the behavior that they've shown and the traits that they've shown in the Karen Reed case. It's not their first time. They've done this rodeo before, folks. They've done it.
Sergeant Trombley is going to enter the picture and go to the left, go to Brooks's head, and retrieve a small white object from what appears to be Brooks's face. Let's watch that again. It seems to me that could very well be a piece of the white rag that Farina used
Shoved in his
to
mouth.
gag Brooks. The nurse is pulling the portable defibrillator out of the wall. That's in that red package. He's going to hook the wires up to Brooks and see if it works, but it's not going to.
It's the
The
defib.
Department of Corrections and Community Supervision said that Brooks died at Wynn Hospital in Utica on December 10th. That's more than 2 hours away from this moment, and it's only a 10-minute ambulance ride away.
Yeah, it was at Mohawk and then got transferred into this facility. And then this happened to him on the same day when he got into Marcy. Okay, let's move on. And this guy is a champion. So I want to commend him for his awesome work. His name is Sean, and he has a channel called Long Island Audit. And we're going to play. He actually went out to Marcy Correctional Facility and confronted some CEOs there and asked them if they would condemn the beating death of Robert Brooks. And you're going to see the superintendent come out and speak with Sean. And Sean knows that he can be there in film. And then you're going to see Sean confront one of the ringleaders in all of this, the one that stuffed the rag inside Robert Brooks's mouth, Anthony Farina. Let's check this out. And again, thank you all for being here. I appreciate this. This is probably one of my most important streams that I've done in a long time. And this is very serious. And everybody needs to know about this. And I'm going to continue following this case with the updates that we get. Okay, let's play Sean's video here. Again, from the Long Island Audit.
Your activity here is considered a
I'll boost
security
the
risk
sound.
and a trespass, and I will ask you to leave the premises.
You're still standing here, which means to me that
That's
you're
the
refusing to
superintendent.
leave. And I'm giving you direction to depart the area and leave the facility grounds.
Respectfully, Superintendent, you don't have the authority. Lieutenant, would you like to sign the petition to have the officers charged that murdered Robert Brooks? The policy can't be in contradiction to statutory or constitutional rights, can it?
I'm not going to get into a debate with you, but you can call the police.
What's your name, ma'am?
I asked you for your name first.
Are you the correctional officer, Anthony Farina? Yeah. Were you part of the beatdown squad? Come on, man. You're not intimidating anybody. You should be in prison.
Funny. We're gonna watch this, and it's funny. You know, I see a lot of similar takeaways here. You know, those police, they all seem to live in similar neighborhoods. You're going to see some irony here. There's actually a state police officer that lives 2 doors down from this correctional officer, Anthony Farina. And I mean, I just look at this and I'm like, it looks like 34 Fairview. And then you're going to see when he speaks, he looks just like Brian Albert. They're all the same. They're all cut from the same cloth. I'm telling you, people. All right, here we go.
That the correctional officer who murdered a man lives a few doors down from New York State Police. This is probably one of my most dangerous audits yet. Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. Today, we are at the Mohawk Correctional Facility in Rome, New York. Robert Brooks was housed here before being transferred to Marcy Correctional Facility, where he was brutally beaten, tortured, and ultimately killed on camera. The footage of the incident is too graphic for YouTube, so if you'd like to watch it, and I highly suggest that you do, I will leave a link in the description below the like button. Viewer discretion is advised. These people are animals. Despite footage of this atrocity existing, the 14 correctional officers have still not been charged. Over a month later, justice delayed is justice denied. Let's continue to apply pressure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just getting inside the correctional facility here. Let's make sure to record the correctional officers in the course of their duty, as is our First Amendment right and our statutory right, the New York State right to monitor act.
We don't allow.
I've watched some of these audit channels, First Amendment audits, and I have to commend Sean. He does it the right way. He knows the laws. He knows what he's doing. I see some of them kind of like, but this guy really knows what he's doing and follows all of the laws and practices in doing these audits. All right, here we go.
Phones beyond this point.
Phones beyond the point that I'm not.
Phones in this building.
Well, this is, I'm not using it as a phone. It's a camera. It doesn't even have any cell connectivity with it. Do you mind if I get your name?
Record on state property. You
I'm
can't
sorry,
have a
ma'am?
phone in here. You passed 2 signs saying no cell phones in here.
Right. This is a camera. It's on a cell phone.
It is a cell phone.
It's not connected to any
It
cellular
doesn't matter.
network.
You don't have permission to record on the grounds here.
Who do I get the permission from?
You have to talk to the Commissioner of Corrections to get permission to record on facility property.
Is that your policy here?
Yes. It's
It
the
is.
policy throughout New York State.
Okay. But that policy can't interfere with constitutional rights or statutory rights.
What we're doing right now.
I'm sorry?
You have to leave. You have to leave.
But the policy can't be in contradiction to statutory or constitutional rights, can it?
I'm not going to get into a debate with you.
Oh, I don't want to debate with you either, man. You can't talk to me.
We've been told to tell you that you need to leave. That you can't do it, and your choice is to continue.
Well, I'm just exercising my statutory and constitutional rights, man. That's all I'm doing.
Okay, maybe you can call the police.
Well, you can do that. I have a petition here for the officers that took the life of Robert Brooks. Would you like to sign it for them to be charged? Would you like to sign the petition? I guess not. We have a petition here for them to sign, so that way they can come on board and we can deliver that petition to the prosecutor's office, and we can get the correctional officers who took the life of Robert Brooks charged. Because this happened in early December, where 14 correctional officers shoved objects down Mr. Brooks' throat, choked him, kicked him, punched him until his life was ended. And those murderers got to spend Christmas, New Year's with their family. They are out free till this day, dangerous to society. One of the officers came out and said that they George Floyded him. That's what they call doing that. They call George Floyding someone, and they certainly did. It's definitely ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're here. We're here to ask questions. We're here to investigate, exercise our First Amendment right. No one is talking about this anymore. The officers have not been charged. And again, it was a brutal murder.
So they have been charged, and I'm just reading here. Said at least 9 prison employees will be charged next week, then a sealed indictment issued to the grand jury in the death of inmate Robert Brooks, according to sources familiar with the case. The indictments are scheduled to be unsealed in Onondaga County Court on Tuesday, the source said. This is back from yesterday, actually, February 15th. It is unknown what charges the employees believe to be largely correction officers will face. It goes through the history of what happened. They talk about the savage beating. Multiple federal and state agencies are investigating Brooks's death. So I'll be curious to find out. On Tuesday, they're going to release all of the charges and unseal the indictment. So we'll know by Tuesday. All right, let's keep going through here.
Of Robert Brooks. So we're going to try and ask some questions, see if we can get people to sign this petition here. Hey, ma'am, how are you?
Yes, Christy, thank you.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
You cannot come in here with a cell phone.
I can't come inside with a cell phone. I'm not in the restricted area. This door is locked, right? I'm sorry?
What's your name?
My name? What's your name, ma'am?
I asked you for your name first, please.
Oh, I know. I like to know who I'm talking to when it comes to public service.
Yes, they said, they literally are living a nightmare every single day. They have filed, obviously, lawsuits in a civil suit. And I believe that was a week or two ago. So they are going forward with civil charges, civil suit as well, as expected. And they're being guided by a few attorneys. All right, let's go.
Right. No, the difference is I have a right not to give you my name. You don't. I'm just asking for your name, ma'am.
I asked you for your name.
Jay Thompson?
Yeah.
Are you a supervisor?
I am.
A sergeant?
Have a good day.
You too, ma'am. Take care. So we have a constitutional and statutory right to film correctional officers, law enforcement officers, security officers in the course of their duty. It's explicit in the New York State Right to Monitor Act. Officer, would you like to sign the petition to have the officers that beat and killed Robert Brooks charged? Would you like to sign the petition? You wouldn't like to sign the petition? Okay. Hey, sir, how are you?
Good. You speak English? you understand English?
You can go ahead, sir. I'm
Okay.
obviously speaking English to
State
you right
the
now.
following. Please leave the area.
Can
New York
I-
State Police will be called if you refuse to leave the area. Videotaping, photographing DOCCS facility property without the consent of the superintendent or commissioners prohibited by DOCCS policy. While members of the public are visiting, inmates are permitted to enter this lot and park their vehicles. This property is owned by the department, is considered part of the correctional facility, and falls under the authority and jurisdiction of the commissioner pursuant to correctional law, section 112. He is empowered to exercise superintendent's management and control over department correctional facilities, and for safety and security reasons, it has been promulgated by the restrictions against the videotaping and photographing DOCCS facility property by any person while present on the correctional facility parking lot. If you'd like to request permission to take photos of video, you ask for consent.
You read that a lot better than the other correctional officer at Marcy, that's for sure.
Let's just read
I
it.
know, but yeah, he had problems.
You can't be out here doing this. Videotape.
Oh,
You got consent.
I 100% can. I have a statutory right to do so, sir. Would you like to sign the petition to have the officers who murdered Robert Brooks? He was housed here, correct? Hey, Lieutenant, how are you?
Just Lieutenant Leonard.
Lieutenant, would you like to sign the petition to have the officers charged that murdered Robert Brooks across the street at Marcy?
That you can't be recorded right now,
Why is that?
because that's Doc's policy.
It's your policy?
That is resident
Right.
policy.
Right. So can I read you the New York State law? Which one do you think would be supersede? So I can't read you the law,
You
but you
can
can
read
read me
it.
the policy?
So you read this in its entirety? Okay.
Right.
I'm asking you to leave at this point.
Right. And I'm asking you to look up New York State Correctional Law 79P, Right to Monitor Act.
So essentially, because he's in a public area inside this correctional facility, he has every right to be there and film. It's open to the public. It's not a secured area of the prison. So he's allowed to be there according to New York state law and do what he's doing. They don't want to listen. They don't want to hear it.
That probably helping with your policy here. I understand that your policy is as it is, but there's laws that supersede policy that grant me the right to record you in the course of your duty.
Are you going to leave voluntarily?
What does that mean?
I'm asking you to leave. Are you going to leave?
No, I'm conducting constitutionally and statutory protected business. I want to know, would you be willing to sign the petition? Do you care that, do you have a beatdown squad here, detective? Lieutenant, excuse me. Do you have a beatdown squad here in Marcy? In Mohawk?
So he's at Mohawk. That was the facility that.
Sir,
before
you
he
look like you want to
transferred.
tell me something. You can hit me up anonymously. LongIslandAudit@gmail.com. Anonymously. I see you over there. You got a lot of stories to tell. I'll be happy to expose all the corruption and tyranny taking place here in Mohawk. Why was Robert Brooks transferred from this facility? Why won't any of you sign a petition calling for the arrest of the officers who brutally beat and murdered him? I don't understand. Seems like a pretty simple thing to do. Lieutenant, I didn't get your name.
Lieutenant Leonard.
Lieutenant.
So I'm going to read this to you again.
Oh, they're going to
I
read
just
something
ask
again.
you, allow me to read it in its entirety.
Is that the same thing I was just read?
I wasn't out here when you read something, so I'm not sure. So please leave the area. New York State Police will be called if you refuse to leave the area. Videotaping and photographing Doc's facility property without the consent of the superintendent or commissioner is prohibited by Doc's policy. While members of the public who are visiting incarcerated individuals are permitted to enter this lot
Debbie, I don't.
and park their vehicles, this property is owned by the
Hasn't been
department,
released.
is considered part of a correctional facility and falls under the authority
I'm
and
sure you're going to find out on Tuesday when the indictment is unsealed.
jurisdiction of the commissioner. Pursuant to Correctional Law 112, he is empowered to exercise superintendent's management and control over all department correctional facilities, and for the safety and security reasons, he has promulgated the restriction against the videotaping and the photographing of Doc's facility property by any person while present on a correctional facility parking lot. If you would like to request permission to take photos or video of the facilities, you may contact the superintendent or commissioner. This property, while publicly owned, is a non-public forum, which is not traditionally recognized or designated as a forum for public assembly and is this restricted. Your activity here is considered a security risk and a trespass. Again, I will ask you to leave the premises.
No.
So, Lieutenant, are you familiar with the Right to Monitor Act passed by New York State?
I'm asking you to leave the premises.
Are you familiar with that statutory law that
Are you
gives
going
me
to
the
leave
right?
Premises?
I have a right to be here. I have a right to be. I'm not a security threat. You said I'm a security threat. I'm not a security threat.
Are you going to leave the premises?
I have a right to be here, sir. I have a right to be here.
Okay.
Would you leave a place you have a right to be? Would you stop doing something you had a right to do? Would you sign the petition, though, to charge the officers that brutally murdered Robert Brooks?
Come out next.
No? No one will sign the petition? Interesting. This happened in the beginning of December. We are now at the end of January, and not one of them have been charged. Do you think that that would happen for you or I if there was video footage of a group of regular citizens, not public servants, brutally murdering a police officer while his hands were cuffed behind his back?
Right.
Do you think that we'd be able to spend Christmas with our family, to spend New Year's with our family, to be free for almost a month, over a month? Do you think that would happen? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you really think that that would happen?
Arrested in perp
No,
law.
we'd be immediately charged.
Yep.
We'd be paraded in front of the world
Yep.
as terrorists.
Yep.
And I'm tired of it. I'm standing up to our government. I will stand up any chance I get. You know, they're going to try and arrest me. They want me arrested, not the murderers, not the brutal, cowardly murderers. They want me, an independent journalist, arrested. What type of bonkers, backwards world do we live in?
How you doing?
Hey, sir, how are you?
The superintendent.
Superintendent Montieri. Would you be cool with identifying yourself to us?
Well, yeah, I have no problem doing that. I mean, you identified yourself to me. What's your name
My
about?
name is Sergeant Steve Farr. How you doing
Sorry.
today?
Yeah, my name is Sean. I'm an independent journalist.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just here to ask some questions, exercise a statutory right. I don't know if you're familiar with the New York State Right to Monitor Act. It encompasses
I don't
correctional officers, law enforcement officers. There's no exception for correctional facilities. I'm sure, as unfortunate that may be for you guys. I'm here to ask questions about Robert Brooks. From my investigation from the news.
Look at the body language of the CO officer right here. He looks like he wants to fucking kill this guy. Look at him. Arms are out. I mean, these guys are scary. Big dudes. Big, burly dudes that would fucking jump on you and fucking tackle you any chance they got. And we saw that. What they did to Robert Brooks, they fucking murdered him. Choked him, threw rags in his mouth, put pressure on his neck, kicked him in his genitals. Savage fucking pigs. Kicking someone in their fucking genitals. Punching him in his ribs. Choking him up against a wall. Fucking disgusting.
News reports he was housed here, correct?
So I can't answer any questions.
Right.
Right. I mean,
Not
you don't.
bullies, they're fucking
I just
murderers.
can't.
Everything is going to be directed to Albany and the Department of Relations.
But do you condemn the egregious murder of Robert
We can't
Brooks?
speak on it. We just
You
condemn-
can't condemn an egregious murder that's on recording, Superintendent?
I just don't.
We
comment on it
can't
at
speak
all.
on anything.
Not one bit. I just can't.
It's
comment
such an
at all.
egregious. You guys should be protesting right along with
So
me
we can't
for their
speak on
arrest.
anything. Can
But
we help
why?
you with something though, or you just?
So just give me a sec.
I'm sorry, ma'am. How long have you been the superintendent here?
Acting superintendent. since
Sorry, ma'am.
August 12th to 21, and then the superintendent on April 22nd.
So Robert Brooks was housed here, correct?
I'm not gonna answer any
You-
questions. I really wish I could. I just can't. In my capacity.
Is there a
right now,
beatdown squad here?
I'm not gonna answer anything that you're gonna.
Is it
ask
called
right now.
George?
What
Is it,
what I have to-
sources have told me that it's called George Floyding somebody, what they did to Robert
So
Brooks. Are you
what I
familiar
gotta
with
do
that
is
term?
just You being here, I understand that there's laws about videotaping the peace officers and their duties.
Right.
We also have rules here about permission to video here by the commissioner or the superintendent, and that's not being given right now. Because like, do you have a legitimate purpose to visit someone here?
Well, my purpose is to exercise that right that was granted to me from the New York State Right to Monitor Act. Again, I've been very clear
And then-
about reading the law, and there's no exceptions for being on correctional facilities.
We do have additional rules though, that the videotaping would have to be approved by the commissioner or by the superintendent, which we haven't given.
But if that's the way the state, with all due respect, Superintendent, if that's the way the state legislator wanted it to be, they would have said you must comply with all rules from the superintendent or the police or the correctional
We've read
facility
to you what,
commissioner.
like, our reading has to be.
Right.
It's really
And
clear.
again, I'm just going off my understanding of the law that I read. You know, I understand you have your policies, and I'm not here to antagonize any. I'm here to get some, This happened in early December, the murder of Robert
Completely
Brooks.
understand, 100%.
This is now the end of January. If I were to, if something would happen to you like that, if I took your handcuffs, put them on you, and viciously beat you, shoved things down your throat, choked you, all on camera, do you think I'd be free for the holidays? I don't think so. I don't think I would be. So this is an injustice. I'm here as a journalist, exercising my constitutional and statutory rights.
Investigation, just that you're in our lobby videotaping.
Right.
You've been given direction that you can't really do that right now.
I understand that. I understand that your policy states that, Superintendent. I understand that.
Listen, everything's fine.
Again,
We did call the state police because that's another part of our
your policy, your procedure.
policy, so they'll be coming here to talk to you. But
I understand. I hope they do the right thing. As you probably know, I was filming over at Marcy, and I was trying to ask them some questions too. Again, I'm trying to get some names signed on a petition.
You gotta understand. We just can't answer anything.
But why? But why would that be? Why would it be wrong for you to say I condemn the vicious, brutal beating of and murder of a man? What's so wrong about that?
No comments on anything at all. I just can't. I'm here because we have policies for when someone comes and does a videotaping, and it can't be happening. I'm trying to make it clear to you. That has to have permission from the superintendent. That's what I'm trying to do.
Right. Either way, I am engaged. I'm engaged. All I'm saying, Superintendent, is I'm engaged in a statutory and constitution protected activity. The law is clear. I've read the law. I've consulted with the law, my attorneys. Again, the law is meant to be able to hold public servants like yourself accountable. And I'm not in a restricted area. This is not for a criminal trespass statute, which I'll explain to them, is it has to be enclosed and designed in a manner to exclude intruders. I'm complying with all laws. Whether I'm complying with your policy,
what we had to read. They'll come, they'll talk to you.
All right. I mean, right. All right. Well, appreciate you coming out. I wish you guys would answer some questions. You sure you don't want to sign the petition?
I got
calling for their indictments.
I can't comment. I can't sign nothing. There's nothing I can do.
So if I wanted to do a FOIL request, last question before you leave, a FOIL request for some documents here, can I submit that here to this facility?
So you can send it into our FOIL officer, which is our inmate records coordinator for records that you'd like.
And that they're stationed here?
Yeah, and in some cases it might have to get sent out to central office where we might get advised that we have to do that. But yes, the inmate records coordinator here, if you want FOIL items, you can send.
I can send an email over to them. Okay, perfect. All right. I'll wait for state police. You too. It should be pretty easy for them to condemn the heinous, brutal murder, merciless murder of Robert Brooks while his hands were cuffed behind his back.
I agree.
Should be easy for them. They should be, all of the correctional officers throughout the whole entire state should be calling for these officers to be charged, but they're not.
All right, I'm gonna just bump ahead here. The superintendent's gonna come out one more time and say, hey, we're asking you to leave. Are you gonna leave? Supposedly the state police are gonna show up, and I believe they didn't. And then we're gonna go out to when he confronted Anthony Farina. So let's go here. All right, here we go. I'm going to bump this up a little bit.
About the lack of arrest of these murders were met with no comment. I'll leave the public contact info for the district attorney's office in the description if you'd like to peacefully exercise your First Amendment right. Frustrated with the lack of accountability, I decided to conduct an investigation into the officers individually. One of the officers that stood out to me from the video was Anthony Farina. Anthony was an active participant in the murder of Robert Brooks. This is him here kicking Robert Brooks in the chest while he is held down and handcuffed behind his back. This is him punching Robert Brooks in the back several times. And this is Anthony Farina smiling while a man is being brutally tortured, beaten, and murdered. Anthony Farina was never fired. He resigned, but not because of the shame of what he did. He resigned so that way, no matter what criminal charges he faces in the future,
what will happen if he resigns, no matter what criminal charges happen, guess what? He gets his fucking pension.
Be able to keep his pension, taxpayer money. He was also sued in 2022 for brutally beating a man who said Farina was part of the quote beatdown squad.
That's what I talked about before. Look at this guy. It's straight up Brian Albert. It's Brian fucking Albert. It's Brian Albert. Listen to this guy talk.
Since I was in the area, I decided to investigate myself and expose this uncharged, dangerous murderer, something that mainstream media should be doing, but doesn't care to. He is a danger to the community.
The irony in all this, too. No arrest for witness intimidation. He's literally doing the same thing that Turtle Boy has every right to do. question a witness or someone that's involved in a ongoing investigation does not get arrested.
So I decided to go to his community to investigate. While I was parked on a public street, Anthony Farina and what I assumed to be his adult son came out to confront me, parked on their block. I then began recording.
How you guys doing?
The camera.
Hey, how are you?
Hang on.
No, I'm not lost. I'm conducting an investigation of I got some complaints. Are you Anthony Farina?
Yeah.
Are you the correctional officer, Anthony Farina?
Yeah.
So do you have any comment? I'm an independent journalist. My name is Sean. Do you have any comment on the brutal murder of Robert Brooks?
You had a problem?
How are you free?
You have a problem?
Are you going to beat me like he beat Robert Brooks?
Get out of here.
I'm on public street. I'm just, your dad just killed somebody on camera, brutally murdered him. It's on camera. He stomped him out. He stomped him out. It's on camera. Have you not seen the video? The Attorney General released the video. Mr. Farina, are you part of the beatdown squad at Marcy?
Yeah, it's like Colin Albert, right?
Were you part of the beatdown squad? Junior, you want to be part of it too, don't you?
It's fucking 34 Fairview. I mean, that's 34 Fairview. It looks just like it. They all live in the same neighborhoods. These cookie cutter neighborhoods. It's literally 34 Fairview. It's unbelievable. Yeah, this guy's really good. I actually reached out to him. I'm trying to actively get him on the show to talk about this. I know, right? It's a mirror image of 34 Fairview. All they need is a fucking flagpole, and let's throw Robert Brooks out there on the lawn, right?
You want to be part of the beatdown squad, don't you, Junior? Come on, man. You're not intimidating anybody. Your dad had to beat a man while he was handcuffed. I'm
It's
not.
34 Fairview.
Remember that. Remember that. He had to beat a man with his hands cuffed behind his back. You should not be free. You should be in prison. So this is the residence of Anthony Farina, the former correctional officer who resigned after brutally murdering Robert Brooks. He was one of the main aggressors, and then his son comes out while I'm conducting an investigation to threaten me. Makes no sense.
Right, Billy?
Makes zero sense.
34 Fairview.
There he is right there. Don't hurt me. I'm not hurting you. Don't hurt me. I'm not armed. Do not kill me. I know you're a murderer. I have a family. I don't want to die. I just want to talk to you. I want to ask you questions.
It's like TB 2.0.
What you did to Robert Brooks, that was called part of being George Floyding people, right? Is that what you guys refer to it internally? George Floyding people? Anthony, I want to talk to you. The irony that
Yeah, it's like TB 2.0.
correctional officer who murdered a man
Look at
lives
this.
a few doors down
State police.
from New York State Police. The man, a murderer, is living in this house, and he lives a few doors down from the New York State Police.
The irony.
Absolutely insane. I was parked right down the street right here, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I didn't know if this was his house for sure. I was waiting to see if I saw him walk out. You know, this is probably one of my most dangerous audits yet. I'm not going to tell you where I am or the street name or anything like that. I'm not going to dox the murderer because he does have a family that is innocent in all of this. I don't know about his son. His son seems to want to resort to violence for people peacefully exercising their First Amendment right. I guess I got the thin blue line everywhere. He has a plate cover on his vehicle.
Yep, that's right, Billy.
Can I get your name and badge number, sir? Can I get your name and badge number? Your name and badge number? Your name and badge number, sir? You're not a cop? Oh, I thought you were because you had the license plate covers on there. I normally see that with cops. No, I'm protesting right now. The man in that house killed somebody on camera. Brutally murdered somebody. Well, I can't hear you, ma'am. You got to speak up. I can't hear you. Are you okay with people brutally murdering people?
He takes off. Now this guy's smart. What I like about Sean is and he talks about it here. The truck he's in, he rented it. So they don't have his license plate. They ain't got nothing. If they want to try to find him, they can't look him up by his license plate. It's pretty smart.
Wow. Absolutely insane. He called all of his buddies to come out here. There was another car that was taking pictures of my vehicle. That's fine. It's a rental. I'm not worried about it.
Good stuff. Smart.
I wish I knew what his wife was saying. But unfortunately, all these people, they stand up for a murderer. He's on camera murdering a man with his hands cuffed behind his back, and then Junior wants to try and fight me. Ridiculous.
It's calling out.
All right, guys. Well, our point was made. I'm going to blast him everywhere I can. I will continue to peacefully exercise my rights. I'm not trying to get murdered by any of these insane people here. This is in the country area. They might try and Robert Brooks me.
All these houses.
That's what they're going to try and do. It's a shame that this man lives in a beautiful neighborhood. Beautiful neighborhood. The murderer here lives in a beautiful neighborhood right next to law enforcement. I'm sure there's other law enforcement officers in this neighborhood, and he's free. He's been free since December, yet he murdered a man on camera for the world to see, brutally, viciously, mercilessly, while his hands.
All right, I'm going to stop this video. It's pretty much just going to kind of carry out here what he's saying. But I found the video when he went over to Marcy and was talking to some of those officers. So I do want to play through a little bit of that. And again, on Tuesday, the indictment will be unsealed. They're looking at possibly 9 people being charged. I would say every single person that was there, if I go back and count all of them, I think there was like 14, but there should be 14 indictments coming out, not 9. Everybody needs to be part of this. But I want to go back to Sean's channel because he actually went to Marcy, and this is where Robert Brooks was actually killed. And we'll play through a little bit of this here. I want to see what he had to say over at Marcy. Again, I thank everybody for being here. This is an extremely important stream, and I'm going to continue to touch on Robert Brooks as we hear more about the indictments that come out, and keep following this case. And it should be an open public case that people can watch the trial and see these fuckers go down for what they did to Robert Brooks. Here we go.
Are you guys part of the beatdown squad? Who beats a man with his hands cuffed behind his back? A coward does. Do you think the beating of a man is funny?
Please leave the area. The New York State Police will be called.
Call the state police. I'm not breaking any laws.
You are
I'm not
allowed to record on state property. See this right here?
That sign doesn't override the Constitution or the statutory law, sir.
Let's go.
You don't have probable cause to arrest those officers, the 14 officers that were engaged in that?
I can't comment on that.
So am I being detained?
For right now, you are.
For what crime?
Sean, right now they're determining whether or not they want you arrested for the crime of criminal trespass, which you actually committed when you went inside after they told you you couldn't be recording in there. Past the signs where it says no cell phones allowed, and you remained in there unlawfully until they finally got you out and then you leave. Left.
That's not the crime of criminal trespass.
Sean, you're all set. There you go, Sean.
Have a good day, sir.
Take care.
Take care. Yeah.
Drive careful.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Hey, let him go. They knew he was right.
Hey, what's up, guys? Long Island Audit here, back again with another video. Today we're at the Marcy Correctional
So
Facility.
I did write Sean this morning. I really hope he'll take my offer. I told him I just need an hour to an hour and a half of your time. I'd love for him to come over here and tell us about his experience and how he does these audits, and especially in Robert Brooks, and kind of walk us through his days at these 2 facilities. So we are now at Marcy facility, and this is the facility where Robert Brooks was killed by those 14 people that were involved in Robert's case. All right, let's play through some of this.
Facility here in Marcy, New York. We're here today, as always, to peacefully exercise our First Amendment right to film in public and publicly accessible areas, to promote transparency and accountability within our government, and to ensure that our public servants recognize our rights and treat us with respect. We are also here. Who are you?
Screaming.
Couldn't even get through my intro.
Someone's already screaming, he's taking pictures of our facility.
There, ladies and gentlemen, not supposed to be taking pictures of the facility. Marcy is the correctional facility
that beat and murdered Robert Brooks.
Releasing that disturbing body cam video showing the beating that preceded the death of 43-year-old Robert Brooks, an inmate at Marcy Prison.
14 correctional officers, including a nurse, 2 sergeants, and COs, beat him to death. Who are you? Who are you? It doesn't matter who you are. So why do you think you could tell me what I can and cannot do if it doesn't matter who you are, sir? Who says? You?
It's the rules, man.
It's the rules?
Yeah.
I'm actually conducting interviews about Robert Brooks. Are you one of the officers that engage in that kind of behavior where you beat inmates until they're dead?
See how
Is that what happens here? You got to be safe here, man. They're doing some crazy things here.
We're gonna signaling.
Are you one of the officers that violates people's constitutional rights? That kills people? Is that
Why
what
is
you
he
do?
running away?
Do you want to answer any questions? Excuse me.
See how quick he ran away?
Yeah, I am allowed. It's my First Amendment right.
Here we go. We're gonna get the business.
Sir.
What's your name and badge number?
What?
What's your name and badge number?
Sergeant Gentile. Okay.
Is your body camera on?
My body camera's on.
Oh, because
Right.
there was a lot of officers when they
My
beat
badge
Robert
number
Brooks.
is 4382.
When they beat Robert Brooks, they didn't have their body cameras
Sure,
on, did they?
He doesn't know his badge number. A 4-digit number. This guy cannot. He's a sergeant. He's a fucking sergeant. And can't remember his 4-digit badge number. How embarrassing. That tells you a lot right there, people. It tells you a lot right there about how these people care. He had to look at his badge. He's a sergeant, a rank of a sergeant, and didn't know his badge number. For Christ's sakes, I know my employee number by heart at my work.
Ask you to leave.
This is a publicly accessible. This is a publicly accessible area.
New York State.
This is a publicly accessible
policy
area, sir.
Is you're not allowed to.
What happened?
report on family.
What happened to Robert Brooks? Does that happen to a lot of inmates here, sir?
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you.
I have
Or
business
we're
here.
gonna call
You can call the state police all you want, sir. You can call them all you want. They should be here arresting people who are beating inmates.
Sir.
You are beating inmates to death,
Sir.
callously and
You
with
cannot
malice,
record
with
on state
no
roads.
type of.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Sir,
Or
I'm
I'm
not
gonna call
breaking.
the state
You can
police.
call the state police. I'm not breaking any laws.
You are. You're
I'm
not allowed
not.
to record on state property.
I am recording officials in the course of
And
their
it says
duty.
right here, no cell phones beyond this point.
Right.
So
I am
need you to
I am
leave.
engaged in a constitutionally and statutorily protected activity. New York
I
State
need you to
rights.
Step out.
Are you familiar with the New York State Right to Monitor Act? I have a right to film you in the course of your duty as
Okay,
a
I'm gonna
public
need
servant.
I'm gonna ask you to leave,
And
or I'm gonna call the state police.
let's talk about Robert Brooks, sir. Let's get
I
back
am
on
not
point.
talking about Robert Brooks. I'm
How
not
many
talking
people?
about
How many
you.
inmates have you killed here, sir? How many inmates?
Sir, I'm gonna have to.
How
ask
many
you to
inmates
leave.
have died in your custody, sir?
I'm mad
I would
at
like
you.
to know. How many inmates have died in the custody of Marcy? Why was he even here? Wasn't he an inmate of Mohawk? What happened? I have a FOIL request here in my pocket as well, sir, that I would like to submit to the Marcy Correctional Facility. Immediately, as soon as I get here, ladies and gentlemen. Look at them. You guys are nothing but a bunch of cowards. You beat a man with that's handcuffed behind his back. You beat a man that's handcuffed. What a kind of coward is by the beatdown squad, no?
Tell them to stay in that van, whoever is in that van.
Let me just share this article really quick. And we'll go back to Sean, the auditor from Long Island Audit. This one, the freelance says nurses covered up prison guard violence for years before Robert Brooks' killing. Torture chamber witness reveals. Quote, at first it was just heinous. It was horrible. After a while, you get numb to it, becomes normal. Nurse Patricia Mateos helped guards at Marcy Correctional Facility cover up unjustified beatings of prisoners for years. Witnesses say both Mateos and Kyle Dashnar were inside the infirmary where Robert Brooks was killed by guards on December 9, 2024, and failed to stop it. So it is a long article. I'm not going to go through it, but I'll drop it in here if you want to read about it, because I do want to watch more of this video before we cut out at about 8:30 tonight. But thank you for sending that over. I'll take a look at it. Let's go back to the video here. I want to watch a little bit more of this.
So how many times a week do you beat men with their hands cuffed behind their back? Sergeant, there was 2 sergeants there that day, right? Your same rank?
Sir, I'm gonna have
And
to
they
ask you to
beat
leave.
and they beat a man with his hands behind his back, right?
Come over here, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Sir, you can call the state police. I'll wait for them. They have a job to do. They should be arresting the people involved. That's what they should be doing, not worrying about a cameraman exercising his constitutional rights. Those officers are still free till this day.
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
They're free till this day.
Come on.
And that's ridiculous. No, I'm in a publicly accessible area.
You're going anywhere.
And I'm told you I'm engaged in a constitutionally and statutory protected activity.
See this right here?
That sign doesn't override the Constitution or the statutory law, sir.
Let's go.
It doesn't.
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to step out.
I could see by the response here today by the first officer and the looks on all these officers. This is what you this is what
And that
type of
guy
behavior
can't
you
put a
guys
phone
engage
on.
in here, huh? Here, Marcy
And
Correctional
you're gonna
Facility.
leave politely?
I have every right to be here. You can ask me to leave. I
You
do.
cannot be on state
You need to
property
study
with
the
a
law,
court.
sir. Instead of beating inmates with their hands cuffed behind their back
True.
until they're unalived, you should probably study the law, sir. I know what I'm talking about.
Uh-oh. What are we going to get now?
He come up, he started recording. I've asked him
Who's
numerous
this guy?
times politely to that he's not allowed on state property while recording.
Yeah, Clay, go grab that paper.
Says it's his constitutional right. state
And
law.
statutory right. And
Uh,
statutory right. New York State right to monitor act.
It's like John Cena.
So is there a new superintendent? I know the governor was trying to appoint a new superintendent. Who's the superintendent of this facility, Sergeant? The old superintendent that was here when Robert Brooks got mercilessly beaten, right? He got beaten mercilessly.
Yeah, I
Is there a
mean,
new superintendent here, sir, yet?
it's interesting. You know, Brooks at Marcy, they transfer him over to Mohawk that day. So you need to find out why he was actually transferred from Marcy over to Mohawk. And I believe Mohawk is across the street or within that same neighborhood, if I'm understanding that. So I'm wondering if this facility here, and again, I'm just throwing shit against the wall and see what sticks. I wonder if this facility has a lot more cameras in its areas than they do in Mohawk. So something happens over at Marcy. I'm sorry, reverse that. Maybe at Mohawk, I'm trying to get this right. I don't know. Maybe at Mohawk, they have a lot more cameras in that facility in areas where you can't duck off into. They transfer them over to Marcy. We know that there's no camera in this infirmary. And they beat this guy to death. It'd be interesting. Yes, Mohawk to Marcy. Thank you. I got reversed. But I wonder about that. And I hope that's all in the indictment. Hope we find out more about this in the indictment on Tuesday. Yeah, everybody's kind of saying more surveillance at Mohawk. And then Pretty Insane says, I bet. Could be. All right, let's keep playing here. Let's hear a little bit more of this.
Is there like an acting superintendent? I mean, I'm trying to speak to the superintendent. I'm an independent journalist.
I think they're
I'm working
right
on a story.
I
want to know, why did a man get beat here with his hands cuffed behind his back? Did you see the video, Sergeant? Did you see the video of your officers and your fellow sergeants beating a man with his hands behind his back. They thought their body cameras were off. Does that type of behavior, do you know of any other kind of behavior? Would you like to be a whistleblower?
I would like you to come out here.
Would you like to be a whistleblower? Is there other incidents that happen here, sir? Are there other incidents that happen here that you are aware of that you would like to come forward? You could do so anonymously. You could send me an email at longislandaudit@gmail.com, okay? I know the thin blue line runs deep in the corrections department. I know obviously 14 correctional officers stood there, including a nurse, 2 sergeants, officers that have been sued before in federal court for viciously beating people, and they continue to work here. Have you ever been sued in federal court, Sergeant? Have you ever been sued in federal
I
court?
gotta read something to him.
Are you part of the beatdown squad?
Tell him he can't be there.
Can I get your names and badge numbers?
So I've been directed from my supervisors to.
Who's the superintendent
just
here?
Let you know. Please leave the area. The New York State Police will be called if you refuse to leave the area. Videotaping and photographing a New York State docks facility property without the consent of the superintendent or commissioner is prohibited by docks policy. All right, while members of the public who are visiting incarcerated individuals are permitted to enter this lot and park their vehicles.
All right, I think they're just going to read regs. They're going to go back and forth, I assume. I want to get to when the state police show up. Let's see. All right, state police are present. So they've been called. They are present. They probably go back and forth for about 10 more minutes. Here come the state police. So let's see what happens here. Jeez, they got everybody
State
out
police has arrived. Let's see if they honored their oath that they took to uphold my constitutional rights, our constitutional rights, and our statutory rights.
It's very fascinating stuff. I'm learning a lot here.
All these officers, not one of them will condemn the vicious and brutal beating of a man that ended his life while his hands were handcuffed behind his back. Not one of them will say, I condemn that behavior. Wow. Speaks volumes. Hey, sir, how are you? I'm doing well, sir. A little chilly out, but doing well. Man, you mind if I get your name and badge number, sir?
Absolutely. It's Trooper Lawrence, 2337.
Hi, Trooper. How are you? My name is Sean.
How you doing?
I'm an independent journalist. I'm doing well. I'm just here, as you know, there was a man that was viciously murdered here.
Yeah.
And I'm here to ask some questions, film the government officials here in the course of their duty,
Sure.
In accordance with the New York State Right to Record Act, as well as the First Amendment. Just asking questions. I'm not going into restricted areas, but, I'm glad that you're here, Trooper, because I know there's...
This is at Marcy. The first video I showed was Mohawk, and that's where Robert Brooks initially was. And then that evening, he was transferred over to Marcy, which I believe those facilities are very close to each other. I think possibly right across the street from each other. Now we're at Marcy. He actually went to Marcy first and then went to Mohawk. That was the first video that I showed. So this is Marcy. And we'll listen here a little bit about this, what the state police have to say.
There's like 11 or 12 correctional officers that need to be arrested. I can show you a video where they unalived a man and beat a man.
Yeah.
I think you should go and arrest them.
It's actually under investigation by BCI right now.
Well, what's BCI?
The Bureau of Criminal Investigation.
Is that like an arm of like the state police?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and it's under investigation. But what?
Yes.
I mean, didn't we all watch the video of the man getting beaten with his hands behind his back, handcuffed?
We saw that. It is under investigation right now. You've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, his hands were cuffed behind his back. He was beaten right here in Marcy Correctional Facility.
Troopers actually
he died.
He did die
as a result of those injuries, which is insane to me. So I'm just saying, I mean, you're a law enforcement officer. You should probably, if I was a law enforcement officer, I would go to their house and arrest them, right?
Well, I can't make any arrest on that. So it's
you don't have probable cause with that video?
It's innocent to proven guilty right now. So actually, the attorney.
All you need is probable cause.
The attorney general's office is actually turning this over to
the county, right? To a county. Yep.
Onondaga County prosecutor.
I saw that. I saw that yesterday. Yeah, I saw that they are turning it over to a special prosecutor. They're going to make them a special prosecutor in the case.
Yes. So that actually just happened yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
James made an announcement about that.
Right.
Yeah.
But you have enough probable cause to arrest someone.
So how would you rate this trooper so far? I think he's actually being pretty cool. I think he's being actually pretty down to earth, listening to what Sean has to say. They're conversing. The trooper seems to be very educated about Robert Brooks's case, maybe a little bit concerned, and here to hear what Sean has to say. So we'll see. I'm sure. You know, we're gonna have a couple other officers, maybe a senior officer show up, a sergeant, a lieutenant, and we'll go from there. But I think so far, I gotta say, A+ for this trooper. He's showing tremendous restraint. He's listening to Sean, his concerns, and going from there.
Don't at this point right now.
You don't?
No, this is going
You
to
have
be
no probable
This
cause?
is going to be taken care of by investigators.
All right. I mean, if you don't have any problem, I think we all witnessed probable cause, sir. I think we all witnessed probable cause for at least the beating of that man, if not the unaliving of him.
Well, we have to wait until everything comes into court and it's taken care of via the justice system.
They have to get to court first.
That is correct.
They have to get there
we
first.
Have to bring all the evidence and everything.
They're at home with their families right now, and you know, while the man was he lost his life. So I don't know. I just came here to ask questions. If they're part of the beatdown squad, if they were, you know, they were responsible, right? Yeah, that's all I'm doing, sir.
Yeah.
That's all. They read me something. I don't know what it was, but again, I'm very familiar with the New York State Right to Record Act, Right to Monitor Act. Excuse me, Right to Record is the New York City one. Right to Monitor Act. I have a right to film peace officers, security officers, and law enforcement in the course of their duty, and that's all I'm doing. I'm not going to restricted areas.
I have no issue with that.
Okay, great, super. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks, man. Thank
Do you
you.
need any more help?
I don't need anything else.
Okay.
I'm just asking questions. Take care. Have a good day.
Oh, look
Thank
at
you.
that. And now they're pissed, so they're gonna go run to the trooper.
So you guys would not like to
Arguing
answer
him.
any more questions? I mean, you really didn't answer any questions to begin with, but oh, that's the walk of shame. The trooper's not a walk of shame. He is upholding my constitutional
Thank you,
rights.
Stacy.
That's the walk of honor. He should be going to those correctional officers' houses and arresting them.
Yeah, because I think that was initially not clear, and in some of the articles that I have read, I didn't see that in the article. So I thank you for updating us on that. But I'm curious to find out safety what? Safety because of what? Interesting. These guys just all ran off. They're probably wanting to talk to this trooper.
That's what he should be doing. There's enough probable cause,
right,
for him to go make arrests. But of course, they're public servants, ladies and gentlemen. They are law enforcement. They're part of the thin blue line,
here we
and
go.
paraded and shown to be the scum that they are, the despicable, murderous scum that they are. Hi, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. You mind if I just get your name and badge number so I know who's here?
Wow.
Trooper Hartman, 124.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
How do they
Stay safe.
how do these troopers know their badge numbers like this, but the COs at the correctional facility the guy fucking was a sergeant and had to look at it. It's very embarrassing. Mallory says, I interviewed for a New York prison a couple of weeks ago, and they talked about the situation at the interview. Wow.
Hey, how you guys doing today? You mind if I get your name and badge number, sir?
It's Sergeant Nick Leone, Shield 911.
Sergeant
Thank you. My name is Sean, sir. I'm an independent journalist. Yeah, I'm asking some questions about Robert Brooks' incident that happened here a couple days ago.
Okay.
I'm not going to restricted areas or anything.
Okay.
I just want to let you know.
Okay.
You're not gonna have any issues with me, sir. You know,
Okay.
I'm just asking questions.
You said
Do you-
Sean?
Yeah, Sean. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Where are you from?
I'm from Long Island, sir. From Long Island. Yeah. I'm an independent journalist. That's fine. Yeah. So, you don't have probable cause to arrest those officers? The 14.
Isn't it amazing? Independent journalists asking questions at a facility, had his camera on, doesn't get arrested, doesn't get charged with witness intimidation. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing.
Officers that were engaged in that?
I can't comment on that investigation.
The trooper
All right. I mean, you saw the video, right?
Yes, I did see the video.
You saw the video. Do you condemn that kind of behavior?
I can't comment.
You can't say you condemn that kind of behavior. The governor condemned it.
I understand that, and I agree. I don't condone that.
Stacey, can you do me a favor? Can you send me that article? I'm going to leave my email in the chat. I'd like to read that because I didn't see any of that in any of the articles that I sourced. I'm not saying that I don't believe you, but I'd like to learn a little bit more about this. There's my email. It's letstalklivepodcast@gmail.com. You can send that article. I'd like to read it after the show.
But
Let's play a little bit more here.
I can't really comment on the
I just think,
investigation.
sir, I think, sir, that public servants need to come out and call out the other bad ones, so that way, you know, you don't look as bad. None of those correctional officers that came out to speak to me, none of them would condemn it. It's not a controversial topic. It's not.
I understand that.
It's not. You're not part of the investigation.
I'm not a part of the investigation.
Right. So you could. I don't know.
More troopers.
I don't know. Should be easy to condemn. Hey, how you doing, sir? Good. How are you, sir? Good. You mind if I get your badge number, sir?
Trooper call 3947.
My name is Sean. Thanks, Trooper.
Trooper Paul. Yeah, I know Duty Ron has done a couple of things on this. Yeah. I know Stephen A. Smith spoke out about this a lot as well.
So you came all the way up from Long Island?
Yeah, I travel all across the country, sir.
Really?
Yeah, I travel all across the country.
What's your YouTube?
Yeah,
What is
I have YouTube, all types of social media and website.
What's
Long Island Audit, sir.
Oh, Long Island. Okay. All right.
Yeah, Long Island Audit.
Trooper knows them.
Yeah.
He knows them.
Yeah, just asking questions, you know, just trying to figure it out. You know, that I saw the video and I was like, I got to drive up there 5 hours. I got to drive 5 up there to
So it looks like they're going to probably engage in some conversation here. I'm going to speed up to a part here. It looks like a lot of people skip to. So let's hear. Yeah, he's engaging with this trooper. Let's just see what they have to say here.
we got a little bit, but I haven't seen any significant amount of snow in years.
Yeah,
I couldn't see when I was driving yesterday.
we got that fast yesterday. You know, it was great.
Detained that you know of?
Not that I know of right now.
All right,
I make sure we got everything.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. Hey, troopers, am I being detained?
He's asking if he's being detained.
I was literally ready to go. This is why you never leave before the police, but so am I being detained?
For right now, you are.
So he is being detained right
For
now.
what crime?
Sean, right now they're determining whether or not they want you arrested for the crime of criminal trespass, which you actually committed when you went inside after they told you couldn't be recording in there. Past the signs where it says no cell phones allowed, and you remained in there unlawfully until they finally
That's
got
not.
you out, and then you left.
That's not the crime of criminal trespass.
Actually,
I would.
crime of criminal trespass states to enter or remain unlawfully.
Let's look it up.
Absolutely.
Let's look it up for real.
Sure.
Because I've dealt with this before,
Okay.
and the charge has been dropped.
This
But
cop's going to be a little hard, though.
Does it not state to enter or remain unlawfully?
The building has to be designed. The property, rather, the property has to be designed in a manner to exclude intruders. Read it. I'm telling you, trooper. I'm not lying to you.
Did you know
Has
that
to
a
be-
fenced-in backyard, if you were to enter somebody's fenced-in backyard, that is actually the crime of criminal trespass?
Because that would be designed in a manner to exclude intruders, sir.
Meaning, even if there aren't any locks on the gates?
Right, because it's designed in a manner to exclude intruders because there's a fence.
Gotcha.
If it's publicly accessible, and I would also take a look at the New York State Right to Monitor Act. There's no exceptions for recording public servants, security officers. It names security officers,
Understood. Did you
law
know when
enforcement
we actually
officers.
enter that facility fully, we actually have to leave unless it's a response to an emergency. We have to leave our cell phones in the vehicle. We are not allowed to record in that
That's
building.
not a
Did you know
law.
that?
But that's not a law.
That is under their correction policy.
Right. Their policy is not law, sir. It's just not.
This guy wanted to arrest
Enforcement
him.
and civilians.
But it's not a law, sir. It's not a
Understood.
law. There's no law that says you cannot bring your cell phone inside of a correctional facility. There's no law. There's no statute that was read. Again, I'm telling you the two laws. New York State, and I'm just saying.
No,
Are you a supervisor?
And I understand.
Are you a supervisor?
I am.
Okay.
And I do understand that if you,
I'm just asking questions.
No. I absolutely understand that. What I'm saying is, you're walking into the public library, you're filming. Absolutely, you have every right to film there. If you're in an area that's open to the general public, you always have the right to film. Correction facility has had this policy for years, and like you said, you've had other stuff dismissed at other correctional facilities.
Well, I've never been arrested at a correctional facility, but
But
again,
like I said, this is up to them.
Okay.
They've determined
I mean,
whether they
listen,
want to pursue criminal action.
but
Okay?
you
All right, let's speed up and see if we get a little result here. It looks like they're going to go back and forth a little bit. Let's see.
let me pull up the actual statute so that we have no question whatsoever. You know, that comment you made, Trooper, about, donating my salary to the victims of Robert Brooks or whatever victims you're talking about, that was a pretty flippant comment, and I didn't appreciate it, to be honest with you. Everybody makes a salary.
journalists, law enforcement, we all make salaries.
That's why I always laugh at people that call us grifters. I've done a very fair share of giving back to my community. Karen Reed have given a lot of money, a lot of time. I do it out of the kindness of my heart because I believe in Karen and I want to help her. I've helped a lot with Trooper Enrique Delgado Garcia, where we took out 2 billboards and did a campaign, gave back to my community to do that. So we always hear like this grifter thing. We have every right to be here and be monetized and be doing what we're doing and make money for our time. I choose, because I think with my heart, choose to give back. I don't have to, but I want to. If I can do something monetarily to help someone, I will, if it's for a good cause. And that's just me. That's just me. And we do a lot of fundraising here as well, too. Direct donations to websites. It's just, it's goofy when we get these dumb attacks by these idiots. And then the funny thing is, on the flip side, the people that attack us, they'll have their channels and they'll start asking for memberships and fucking cash apps and buy me a coffees. But we're the hypocrites. We're the hypocrites. All right, let's end this out in a couple of minutes here. I just want to see the end result. I believe, obviously, Sean does not get arrested here, but let's see what happens.
No. Decided that no criminal trespass charges. Sean, there you go, Sean.
Have a good day, sir.
No criminal
Take care.
trespass.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good. Have a good day.
Take care. Drive carefully. Drive careful, Sean.
I will. Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good day, sir. So we were literally leaving. I literally did my outro. We were leaving because there was nothing else to accomplish. I talked to this officer, this trooper right here. He's an honorable man. I was talking to him, and he was telling me that, and then this supervisor here wants to shake my hand after being completely unprofessional, telling me to donate my salary. Are you kidding? Donate yours.
Yeah.
Donate yours. I have a job just like they do. They get paid through taxpayer money. I don't. That's the difference.
It's the same thing with me.
Oh, man.
And I have a
Ridiculous.
day job. I have a day
If
job.
it wasn't so cold, I'd stand out here all day, but it is freezing, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so no charges for Sean. And like I said, I reached out to Sean. I'm hoping to get him on the channel. I'd love an hour of his time to go through this stuff and how he got involved in doing this. And obviously advocating for Robert Brooks, which is very important. And it is going to be a case that I want to continue to follow up on here because it's very, very important. I just wish we had some more people in this room, but I'm so glad that we held about 100 people through this entire broadcast. It's very important. You need to go back and watch this full live. It is important. And it's a modern day lynching. I mean, this is worse than George Floyd, in my opinion. This is worse than anything that I've ever seen. It's worse than Rodney King. It's worse than anything I've ever seen. And I do hope that Robert Brooks gets, his family gets justice in this case, and that all of the people, all the entities involved get put away for the rest of their lives because this man didn't deserve this. And it's very difficult. So what I like to do is at this point, I'm going to end this live. I will be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Attorney Nan Gallagher will be joining the live show, and we are going to talk about the recent Turtle Boy interview with juror Ronnie the juror, who was the first, who was one of the jurors on Karen Reed's first trial. We'll go through a plethora and break down everything that we saw in that interview and some of the defense takeaways that they can take away from this and just give us our opinions on that. And I'm really looking forward to doing that with Nan. So thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it. And I will catch up with you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Again, Nan Gallagher, Attorney Nan Gallagher will be joining me. And we will go through tomorrow the most recent Turtle Boy interview. All right, everybody, I'm going to hit the outro. Have a good night. And I hope that you watch this back on replay and get some value out of it, because it is a very important case and everybody needs to know about this. By the way, I am currently right now at 37,500 subscribers. I am very close to getting to 40,000. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this content. I want to try to hit that goal by April 1st. 40,000 subscribers by April 1st, as the Karen Reed trial may be starting on that day. And it would be a really great thing to have over 40,000 people on this channel. All right, everybody, I'm going to end the stream. Have a good night. And thank you so much for being here. I'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. With attorney Nan Gallagher. Take care.